Nielsen, everybody's talking. Now, a man who was an icon of British TV in the 70s and 80s on World of Sport, and this weekend, after about 30 years out of it, Kendo Nagasaki made his return to the ring at the age of 83.
A kamikaze crash coming, and there it is. Oh, that could finish him. That could finish Bronson completely in this bout. Like I say, it's off. Nagasaki's mask off. There he is now. We've seen him for the first time. An extraordinary what an extraordinary hairstyle. Kendo Nagasaki, for the first time ever, has been demasked.
Staffordshire's Peter Thornley is the man behind the mask of Kendo. We've spoken recently about him going back in the ring. He was there last night in Croydon. Let's find out how it went. You don't look too bad. Afternoon, Peter. Thanks for coming in.
Fit as a fiddle.
How'd you get on?
I won, didn't I? With a bit of controversy, but I won nevertheless.
It's not like you.
Oh, it's
a bit of controversy and win. Throughout, I should have asked you this. I've looked it up. Everything I see says you're undefeated. Ever.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've never been pinned or beaten by a pinfall or a submission. I've had pinfalls got on me when it was 2 falls, 2 submissions or a knockout. I've never been knocked out in the ring. I've never been 2 submissions or 2 pinfalls. I've been disqualified a few times. So in a funny sort of way, that's a sort of technical loss, but I don't count those.
Well, I suppose you've been beaten by the rules rather than the opponent then,
yeah, by some dodgy referees, basically.
How are you feeling?
Good, yeah, good. Ready to go again. I'm hopefully appearing in Dudley next month.
Why? You don't need to do this.
I love it. I get charged from it, don't I? I come out of that ring as sprightly as a spring chicken.
Have you missed it then?
Of course, yeah. I mean, last night it was marvellous when I walked in. The old audience erupted. I had to do 2 circles around the ring. People were shaking my hand and everything else. At the end of the match, just to prove it was me, I got 3 members of the audience to come into the ring. The mask was removed because I wrestled in the mask. The gay mask, would you be? Or what I was calling the pride. Well, it's not a pride mask. It's the flag, isn't it?
So the rainbow colours, because historically it was flag, red and white, wasn't it?
Rainbow mask, yeah. So I took that off, and I got 3 members of the audience to come in to check the tattoo that's still on the top of my head. Because on social media, it's not going to be him. It's going to send somebody else in there. He ain't going to do that at 83. It's a because they think wrestling's all a fix, you see, even to the fact that I'm not going to be there. So I proved that I was there because I got the finger off so they could see that quite visibly, and I got them in 3 people to come into the ring, selecting from the audience, just you and you coming up, and they said, yeah, it's definitely him, the tattoo's there.
I should point out to the listener that you have and have had for many years half a finger missing.
Yes, yeah, since 1962.
It's quite difficult to fake that.
Yeah, yes, well, yeah, it's a strong...
It's quite an actor to do that job, wouldn't it? So here we are the morning after. You came back up last night from Croydon.
That's right.
And the bout in Croydon. And I've asked you how you're feeling, and you look... I mean, just seeing you move round, you move round, you look to be all right. Are you in... Well, no, you don't look knackered.
No, I'm not knackered.
Are you injured at all? Did you sustain any injury last night?
It's not good enough to hurt me, is there?
Is that how you feel going in?
Yeah.
Because when we spoke before this bout, you were hugely confident, as you've always been.
Yeah. Well, I think if anybody in my position, I mean, it boils down to I have to get it right every time, don't I? They only have to get it right once. Because my name is on that top of that bill. The people who've come last night, full house, came to see Kendo Nagasaki. They don't come to see the other people on the bill. I've got to get it right. And every time I've got to get it right. And that's gone right through my career. I can't go in there and get it wrong, because that's what sticks, doesn't it? Oh, he was this, he was that. It was terrible, his worst show we've ever seen. No, I can't do that. I've got to get it right every time.
And do you feel that pressure?
Not as much as I used to. I used to feel it a lot when in the old days when I was doing 6 or 7 shows a week, because you've got to perform every time. You've got to look like you're fresh and you do it. And if you're doing 6 shows a week, of course, it gets more difficult. But nowadays, I have a lot of time to build up to it. So, the mental state is all sorted out.
Were the guys from Guinness there last night? Because this was a record-breaking event, wasn't
they've
it?
accepted the fact that I'm the oldest professional wrestler to do a professional wrestling match. But I'm in dispute with the Guinness Book of Records. I mean, I'm on a gay crusade, would you believe?
Are you?
Yeah. Well, they've got these strange sort of rules that you've got to be continuous, because I wanted to have the longest professional career. But they've pointed out to me that I've retired 3 times. And they're applying that same thing to being gay. Because I've not been gay all my life, apparently. I've had time out. I can't claim to be the oldest gay wrestler either.
Okay.
So I'm in dispute with them at the moment. I'm going to argue with them that gayness doesn't really fall into the same category as breaking a professional career. I think I spoke to you last time about it. You said to me, what would you have been gay if you weren't gay? I would have been gay. I've always been gay, really, but yes, I've had time out. Let's put it that way.
Well, you were married for many years.
I was married, yeah. But underlying, I said to you, if times had been like they are now, I would have never, I'd always been gay. But they weren't. I mean, I was born in 1941, so it was a different world, wasn't it? A different world. I was brought up in the 50s when it was very dangerous to be an homosexual.
Well, it was illegal, wasn't it?
It was illegal until 1967, yeah. And very, very illegal. Like I said last time, one of my school people went to prison for something that's quite acceptable now.
So is this your crusade then, or is there more to it? Your gay crusade?
Yeah, well, I think that, I'm just going to fight that, because I think, why can't I claim that as well? So I'm going to say, no, I want that. But I'm in an argument with them at the moment.
OK, we'll leave that for now, so we don't have to get them on to put their point of view, and we'll see where you end up with it. I'm not convinced, from the few seconds we had while the song was playing, I'm not convinced that you're not going to do this all again. Well, are you going to go back in the ring again? Because the whole point of this, last time we spoke, you wanted to get this Guinness World Record for being the oldest professional wrestler, which you've now achieved. There's no real reason other than you fancy it to go back and fight again.
The only thing is, last night I was in a tag match with 2 other people supporting me, let's put it that way. I feel I can do it on my own. I don't need any support. I can go in there and do it myself. So I'm looking to do that, really, one-on-one. So there's no question I don't need somebody to back me up. So that's where I'm aiming for, really.
At the risk of offending a professional wrestler while I'm sitting in the room with him, but I'm going to risk it because I trust you, Pete.
Go on, go for it.
Have you spoken to a doctor about this?
No.
I was going to say, because I'm not sure doctors would be advising a person of your age, however fit you may be, that this is a good idea.
Well, the guy that looks after my knee told me not to do it. The surgeon, because I've got a bit of a dodgy knee that pesters me from time to time. And he says, "What are you doing? Are you mad?" I said, "Probably, yeah."
So, Croydon last night. You've mentioned Dudley briefly.
Dudley,
What's the plan with that?
I'm going there to sort of set a challenge up with this promoter that I beat up last night. I still haven't finished with him. I really want him one-on-one. He was hiding in this group of people. He structured it so he was in the ring with 2 others. So I had to have 2 others. I think we've got to go one-on-one, and I want to have him. I had him last night for a brief moment. I caught him and had him, did a few things at him, but I've got a serious feud with him, really, because I fell out with him 17 years ago, a serious fallout. He sacked me 17 years ago for beating 2 of his lads up. He said I went too strong with them and injured them, and we fell out over it. And that's gone on for. I've never worked for him or with him till now, and I've still got this at the back of my mind that I've not settled this feud. It's still there.
And is there ever likely to be a plan of you bringing it closer to home, somewhere like the King? I mean, I'm just thinking of the venues I used to watch, the King's Hall, the Victoria Hall, or wherever.
I mean, we're only 200 yards away from the Victoria Hall. I think it should come back there because, I mean, my career, Count Bartelli, which was the biggest wrestler in this area at the time, in 1966, I unmasked him there. And I was the first person ever to slam Andre the Giant over there at the Victoria Hall in 1969. The first time he was ever beaten. The big man, the eighth wonder of the world.
How do you pick up Andre the Giant?
Well,
carefully, I would imagine.
No, I'm a strong old bugger, you know. I was a lot
even with a
younger
bad
then.
knee. It'd be. I mean, you'd sell out the Victoria Hall, wouldn't you?
One would hope
Twice
so.
over,
Yeah,
at least.
I mean, the guy the promoter said that they don't want wrestling here anymore. At the Victoria Hall, they've got a bit sniffy about it, I think. I mean, people, a lot of the sort of, the intellectuals treat wrestling as it's some sort of working class activity, and it's just a little bit beneath them, isn't it? Depends who's running the Victoria Hall, doesn't it? Who's got the cap on over there? I don't know, because I've had nothing to do with it. I just know that they're telling me they don't want wrestling there anymore.
But if they did, you would?
Absolutely, yeah. Of course I would. Well, of course I would. I'd love to come back. I mean, Stoke on Trent, when I did these shows I'm talking about, you couldn't get in. The night I did the thing with Count Bartelli, they were queuing around. When I arrived here, they were around the building. They turned as many as way as were in the place. Now, there's so many in the place that night, you wouldn't be allowed to do it now because they're all down the aisles. Not all the seats were full, but they were packed down the aisles and down the centre. Halfway down the centre where they were there as well. It was well over capacity, but they wouldn't get away with it now, would they?
And so last night has been left slightly open-ended, from what I understand, as in there is potentially an opportunity for round two, if I can put it that way.
Certain.
You're up for it. It's whether the opponent's up for it on a 1-to-1.
Well, he's a bit scared. I mean, he's frightened of me, actually, because he thinks I'm going to hurt him. And I probably did hurt him a little bit last night.
But they didn't hurt you, honestly.
They don't get the chance, do they? I'm old-headed, aren't I? You don't get to be my age and be as fit as I am and do as much as I've done without knowing what you're doing.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that. My dad was a village cricketer for many, many years and ended up playing in a team called the Fossils.
Right here.
Other side of Birmingham.
Yeah.
And they ended up with a sort of over-50s team, first of all. Then as they got older, they became the over-60s. And there was an over-70s team at one point.
The goalpost.
And my dad's point was always, what we now lack in pace and athleticism, we've got in knowledge of the game. Yeah. Is that how you are with wrestling?
Absolutely, yeah. And I've gone through it all, haven't I? I mean, I when I came into the wrestling business, I was already one of the top, what the Americans now call shooters. I could just take people and take them down. An ordinary person levelling up with me in those days, they were on the floor before they knew where they were. I just, boom, they were gone. I just couldn't stand up for 30 seconds, never mind a minute.
But how much of it is, and I asked Phil Taylor this, the darts player, years ago, how much of it is it you beating them before you've even got on the oche or, in your case, in the ring? Because they're thinking, oh, my goodness, I'm fighting Kendo, I'm never going to beat him.
Well, back in the day, let's call it back in the day, a lot of the people I went into the wrestling ring with were frightened of me. They knew if they were doing anything I didn't like, they were in trouble. And so that stands you in good stead, doesn't it? I mean, like I talked to Billy Robinson that time, I talked to him about, because he was what we called the top shooter at the time. And he said, we have to get it right. So you're always on your mettle, aren't you? You're always on your guy, because you don't want this other guy to make a bit of a prat of you, let's put it that way, because it goes around the business, doesn't it? So you're always on your mettle. When I was younger, I was always on my mettle. Nobody got anything over on me. And that reputation still stands good today. These young lads are not quite sure what I can do. So, and I don't tell them. I let them find out.
Yeah, you let them find out the hard way.
You let them find out the hard way.
Well, I'm glad you got through it. I'm glad you won, because why wouldn't you want to remain undefeated by everything other than the rules occasionally?
Yeah. And I was in the Telegraph the other day as well, big write-up in the Telegraph.
I saw that.
Yeah, did you see it?
Yeah.
So I'm getting in the quality press now.
They're not too sniffy to talk to you see. What's it like being back in the spotlight a bit? Are you enjoying it?
Tremendous, yeah. Missed it, yeah. Can't get enough of it. Yeah, can't get enough.
We'll keep an eye on you for Dudley then. in the
Why
future.
Not? I'll come and give you another interview.
Excellent.
When I've finally beaten this promoter, I'll come and tell you all about it.
Peter, thanks so much for coming back in. Really lovely to see you as always. We'll catch up with
yourself.
you soon.
Been an
Take care.
absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Peter Thornley. Kendo Nagasaki with us on BBC Radio Stoke, still undefeated after that fight last night in Croydon, and he is now, I think officially, the oldest professional wrestler in the world. Nagasaki, that's brought back memories for Keith, who's in Cheadle. Hiya, Keith.
Hello there, Stuart.
Do you know, before we get onto this, I was just saying to Peter as he was leaving, he's like, thanks for taking an interest in me. I'm like, you were my childhood. Saturday afternoon, world of sport, grand shouting and bawling at the TV.
That's right.
Not a fan of yours, frankly, as Kendo, which he's fine about, by the way, because we have spoken about it before. It was such a huge thing, wasn't it?
It was massive, wasn't it, in the day? I mean, Victoria Hall was usually packed every Saturday night. You'd go and you'd see all the big stars you've seen on television. And I'd be about 11 years old then. And I can remember when Kendo fought the Count, I think Count Bartelli had been 20 years not being unmasked. And he fought Kendo. And I can always remember Kendo coming in, he had his armour on and his sword, and he got that evil stare about him. I was frightened to death of him, I was, because I was only a young kid. So
I'm just seeing if he's gone. Hang on a minute. I mean, he's still intimidating. He seems a lovely guy from the few times I've met him, but he's still intimidating. There's still a presence when he comes in the room.
He sounds such a nice chap, You can't associate his demeanour now with Kendo of those days, because he was just this. He just had this aura about him, that as you can imagine, as an 11-year-old, you'd be terrified of him.
Yeah. Well, I was showing one of my younger colleagues a video of him. Actually, it was him against Haystacks, and that was scary. Even seeing it now, I'm 50 next year, and you just like, wouldn't mess with that.
No. I mean, when you think of the guys that he fought, Big Daddy, and as you say, Giant Haystacks, and he took them all on. He never backed down from anything. He was just, I don't know. He just got that thing about him that he was nobody could to touch him. And he was such a big draw, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to see Kendo, and it was great. They were great times, really. They were great times. But I was there the night he unmasked Count Bartelli.
And what was the atmosphere like that night?
Oh, awesome! The expectation was incredible, really. This because he was. I don't know how old he'd be then, but he wasn't that old, was he, when he unmasked Bartelli? I mean, Bartelli his real name was Jeff Conliffe, wasn't it?
They're never quite so glamorous, are they, the real names?
No, I think he come from Crewe. Jeff Conliffe, his name. But when he unmasked him, you could see that he was a lot older than Kendo. But it was just one of those nights that you never forget, whether you're young, old, or whatever. And I always remember Vicky Hall. There was 3 ladies always used to sit on the right-hand side of the stage at the front. And I think one of them was named Vera. Oh, and they used to go at him something awful. They were swinging their handbags and goodness knows what.
Well, I don't know if you heard last time Peter was in. I'm not suggesting it was Vera or one of those old ladies, but we were on about the sort of Blue Rinse Brigade, if I can put it that way. Who were there. And probably shouldn't say that these days, but you know exactly who I mean. One of them took a swing at him with a handbag and there was a brick in it. And he ended up in hospital. Yeah,
I remember hearing it. Yeah, it's quite funny, but it was great. It was a fun time, wasn't it? and it was just one of those, as I say, it was one of those nights that you'll never forget.
It was a different kind of entertainment. I think that was the thing, wasn't it, back then? And thanks for the memories, Keith. You're not the only one. Great hearing you talking about the wrestling. I was around 10 at the time, says Barry in Colwich. My gran used to swing her handbag round and say, "You dirty devil." My favourite was Cat Weasel, who, if you remember the times, you will know exactly who we mean. He did look like Cat Weasel. Thank you for all the kind words and comments relating to the conversation with Peter Thornley. I've got some power cut information for you. National Grid have been in touch. We know there's a power cut in the ST3 and ST11 postcode areas. Engineers are working to restore supplies and are hoping that it'll be back on by 2 o'clock. So if you're in the ST3 or ST11 postcode areas, hopefully you're listening to me by some means that's battery powered, and hopefully your power will be on. Phil says, back on the wrestling, she certainly was Vera. She had a brolly with her, rain or shine, to use as a weapon, not to keep dry. If you want to talk more about Vera, please do on 0800 121 80 80. And while you're thinking about that and times past, you might want to have a go at today's What's the Year?